Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Healing from Within with me, your host, Keryn Rose, and a very special guest today. I have asked to join me in this wonderful podcast space, the wonderful Lala Lang. Is it Lang?
Wang.
Whoops, there we go, Lala Wang. Look, Lala has a podcast on the same platform that I do, which is run by the wonderful Leah Steele and Shane Bryan. So, all right, Lala, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Look, this is what makes the world go round. It's this point of connection and this point of sharing the space with others and going, okay, what are your thoughts? Let me understand a little bit about what makes you tick. Now, you know, my podcast is called Healing from Within, and I'm on a mission to, I suppose, challenge people in how they view their life, because they have within them an ability to heal from within. And that can mean so much to so many people. So my question for you today, gorgeous girl, is what does the term healing from within mean to you, and how do you incorporate it into your world?
I'm thinking because there's just so much that I want to share. And I was like, what would be the most appropriate place to start? But just on a note with my last name, so Wang spelled W-A-N-G is actually not how we pronounce it in my native language, right? So in Mandarin, it pronounced Wang.
I like
Wang sounds nothing like it, right?
No.
And when I met my now father-in-law for the first time, he said, so how do you actually pronounce your name? So I said to him, Wang. He said, well, that's just very Wong, spelled W-O-N-G. So that kind of becomes a family joke now.
But the difference in the sound is huge.
It's huge.
From Wang to Wong.
Yeah.
Just, OMG.
And we often joke about because I'm from Taiwan, the Taiwanese government has got no idea how to spell their own native language in English, basically. So I thought I'd share that joke at the beginning of our podcast.
Yeah, well, look, what's in a name? Again, forgive me, OMG, everything.
Yeah.
A name is simply energy, and it either resonates with you or doesn't. And if people can understand when they're not feeling good about something, that's a sign to them to go, okay, this isn't for you at the moment. What can you do? What is your next right and perfect step to shift that energy into something that makes you feel good?
Mm.
And it might be, say, excuse me, that's not how you say my name. Stand up, take the reins.
I think that's a good lead into what healing from within really means to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years ago, if you asked me the same question, I'll be like, oh, maybe like healing my gut health from within, because I was really into fitness and health back then. And I wouldn't say I wasn't a spiritual person, but I believe that I have hidden my gift, almost like how my mum and my grandmother and their generations have done it, just because if we really look at the historic events that happened in, let's say, my grandparents' generation, right? Second World War, First World War, it simply wasn't safe to share our spiritual gift.
Yeah.
So I've hidden my gift for a very long time. And it wasn't until I started my personal development journey and when my maternal grandmother passed away, she passed on her gift to me. And that's when I had my spiritual awakening in my mid-30s. So I'm a bit of a late comer when it comes to spiritual discoveries. But yeah, for me, it's been a journey. Even when I first started discovering who I am and really trying to find my own identity after my divorce, if you would have asked me the same question, it would be a different answer again. It would have been, well, I don't need to do it anymore because I've done it. right? I used to think it was just like a diet. It's a quick fix. Once I've done it, I don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
But now, if you ask me, I think it's a constant evolution of the relationship that we have with ourselves. And I love the way that you say we all have answers within, but if you don't have that relationship with yourself, you won't be able to find it. It's like if I haven't discovered that I actually have a spiritual gift and I actually have a gift that I need to share with the world and keep going down that rabbit hole of understanding who I am, what I'm here for, I wouldn't be able to heal because I would not know where to start, right? Then I'll be looking for other people for solutions. But I guess after 10 years of self-discovery, it's kind of like, well, actually, you know, why would I be everyone else and get everyone else's solution? Because I love the saying, don't be anyone else because they're all taken. Be yourself.
Yeah. It's a powerful one, isn't it?
It is. I love
And
it.
look, being a mum of a little one, you can understand the uniqueness of an individual because you have, and you're still very new to this, this idea of you've created something with your husband, and here he is, and he's changing again because of his youthfulness, because of he's just so gorgeously young. This shift is occurring. You know, how old is George now?
George turned 2 weeks ago.
Wow. You see, my son is 30. So the shift, when there is a shift within him, number one, he's obviously not living with me anymore, but as the mother, the changes are so subtle. For you, the changes can be so huge. And
Yeah.
it's that reminder, yeah, that there is nobody else like your boy. There is nobody else like your son. And note to self, oh, there's nobody else like me either. I also am unique. Look, my mother used to joke with me to say, Keryn Jane, she loved using my middle name, Keryn Jane, it's a good thing that they broke the mold when you were born. She said we couldn't do with two. Bless her, miss her to bits. But
You're very lucky, I think.
but
Not many mother back in those days realized how unique each child is.
look, I was very blessed with the energy that was my mum
Mm.
and her wisdom and her insight to life. And I feel that that is at the root of my understanding of healing from within. It's how we choose to see what is happening in front of us. And our perspective is absolutely anchored into how we're feeling. It really does color the lens of the glasses. If you haven't had a good night's sleep because George is unwell, how does that impact on you working during the day?
Well, I'll be checking my phone all the time, right? Because I'll make sure if he's at daycare, that he's okay.
Yeah. So suddenly you're distracted. You're unable to focus on other. Now, as a mum, we are gifted with this ability to do such a thing, but it simply shifts how you live that day energetically. Okay. And if you're at home with George, his energy is infusing yours and it shifts and that's how we're made.
Mm.
But that realization that how we view the world is linked to the energy how is it flowing within? If we're riding high, our eyes will be dancing, our smiles will be there, our voice will have a musical lilt to it. If we're feeling revolting, our voice will be heavy, it'll be slow, our shoulders will probably set, just energetically, everything will create that sound that comes out of our mouth.
I love that. But I think also, right, it's about really holding yourself accountable and be not to the point of self-critical, but in a sense, like be honest with yourself. And it's really what I'm finding is one of the hardest things to do because sometimes it could be scary, it could be daunting, it could even be really triggering, right? It could really bring out a lot of trauma, negativity. But part of being able to heal from within is understanding, number one, like you said, Keryn, the energy, but holding yourself accountable to create and generate the type of energy that you want to create in your life.
Absolutely. We are the creator of our world.
Correct.
And there are some people that I know such a statement could end up being a little bit, physical, because they're just saying, out of my face, that's a load of codswallop. And I'm being very nice here. And I'm just going, okay, fine. It's like telling George a mathematical equation. He's just not ready for it yet. Maybe next
No.
year, but, not now. And everybody has the right and perfect time to hear whatever. However, everybody continues to live their life. What I love about George and the age that George is, my grandson is a very similar age. They simply know what works for them. And that's what they create. If they want to go and play with something, they'll go play with it. If they don't want to play with something, they won't. They have this innate ability to simply do what makes them feel good. And
that's the kind of honesty, I think, that has kind of got taken out of us, right? When we were little, I still remember I was a very loud child. Loved to talk. Definitely a tomboy. Loved to chase people around. But I often get compared to my cousins who are prim and proper and would just wear their skirts and sit there. And my grandparents, my dad used to say to me, can you just stop being such a tomboy? Can you not be more like your cousins? Right? But that's not my truth. Now I've learned that's not my truth. And that's why I was such an angry child when I was little, because it was simply my way of expressing, well, that's not how I want to be.
It's not me.
No.
Yeah. And I truly believe that as a little human, we come in with a language that is our heart. That's all that we have. And as we walk down this path of aging, these bits in the brain start to be activated, start to be encouraged. And it's like we walk up the steps from our heart into our head. And this is where we tend to live. And for a lot of us, we're very comfortable here. But that little kid, that little Lala and that little Keryn still lives within us. And there are times when I'll say to the gorgeous souls that I work with, I said, all right, imagine that there is a slide from your head down into your heart. And when you're really literally stuck in your head and these thoughts are going round and round and round, imagine that little version of you getting to the top of the slide and going, wee, and then plop down into this wonderful, idyllic vision that you've created. I said, and that's your heart space. And most people have the ability to envisage. And for those that struggle, I say, get a piece of paper and draw your head, draw your heart, even if it's stick figures, and draw this wonderful swirly whirly slide from the head to the heart, and see yourself going down there. Even if with your pen, you continue to draw over the line. And then you realize that when you get into your heart space, physiologically, everything just goes, and the voice in your head suddenly is silent. It's quite magical, because it's how we're made. It's how we're made. And it's simply that reconnection to our heart space, which is where I feel this ability to know what to do to heal from within is found.
Definitely.
It's not a mental exercise. So I want to ask you, you and I could talk about all these wonderful things about healing from within. I want action. I want from you, okay, what do you do, Lala? You can sit on the couch.
That's the hard question, right, Keryn? That's $1 million question.
Is it? Is it? You have the joy of being able to pick up this gorgeous little boy and hug him. And tell me you don't feel good when you hug your boy.
Oh, hugging George is like the happiest thing ever.
There you go. Healing technique number 1, find something to hug. Now, for me,
even hugging a tree.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
Oh, isn't that just magical?
Oh my God. Oh
As
my God.
as long as there's no spiders and there's no
Ants,
ants and no
snakes.
bugs.
We do live in Australia.
I know, I know. But look, hands on the trunk also is a beautiful thing. But I must be honest, the times I have actually wrapped my arms around a tree and put my ear to the trunk. Have you ever listened to the
No, but
sound?
what I often do is I lean back to it. I'm a bit lazy. I don't like to stand around. So I just sit down on the base of the tree, lean
Ah,
back to it.
so you're having contact with it as opposed to hugging it.
Mm,
Okay, again, you're having contact. However, that contact occurs, one can visualize the idea of hugging a tree, and you will have the same response because
mm.
everything is simply energy. We are taking away that physical experience, but everything is energy.
Actually, I'm going to go back one step. Did you know when you're upside down, like if you're doing a handstand, or if you're looking up in your ceiling, or
Mm,
even if you're just like hanging your head down, as
yep,
long as your head is not upright to how it normally is, right?
yep.
You can get yourself out of your head.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to try that now, don't
I
you?
know, I can see it in your eyes. You're just like, oh, I
Yeah.
wonder what that, because
Yeah.
what your head does, it's so used to being upright, right? And this is the practical side of me.
It sits on
Wait,
top of the body for a reason.
correct. But when you do, like when you tilt it to a complete 180 or 90 degrees, it kind of going like, what the?
Mm.
And then it distracted from being in your head thinking about what are problems you were thinking of, what were concerning you. And it's almost like you're shifting the energy, shifting the focus. And it's just like, wait, hold on a second. What are you doing? What is this thing? I'm not used to this.
You're shifting
What
your
get you?
perspective.
It
That's what you're
is.
doing. You are shifting the
Yep.
perspective.
That's what I was looking for. Yes.
And that is powerful. I posted a picture a couple of mornings ago because, as you probably know, I love to walk along the river first thing in the morning and capture that sun rising. And
Mm,
my phone just happened to tilt as I was taking a photo. And I thought, oh, actually, you know what? Yes, because, being a Libran sun, I like things to look beautiful. And, I like my horizon to be straight, even if the actual horizon itself is not. And I thought, no, I'm going to ask people, how are you going to see your day today? Because it challenged me. Suddenly I thought, well, what's wrong with having the photo on
mm,
an angle? And absolutely nothing. It was how I chose to see that vision. And you're saying the same thing.
yeah.
Shift where your head is, and it will have a physiological response. I was never one to do handstands. That it just didn't. Nah, wasn't me. Just didn't feel right. But I loved the thought process.
Mm.
And, okay, let's just put your head upside down, Keryn.
Well, even if you lay on the edge of your bed, I'm not a handstand person, right? And just hang.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
You may not be able to get into your heart quite right because your head will probably be just thinking,
Well, you're out of your head.
but it gets you
And
out
that's
of your
what I'm
head.
sensing. That's what
Yeah.
I'm sensing. You do.
And that's step number one, right? And then for
Do you have a
me,
spiritual practice in inverted commas?
yoga,
There you go. Yep.
because when you do, what's that pose that you essentially turn yourself into a tresso? I
You're talking to someone that doesn't do yoga, young
Yeah,
lady.
well, there is a pose that literally gives you a bit of a upside down effect, basically. Um, yeah, and then for me, what I do the most, which I haven't been doing as often as I should lately, is literally go barefooted, lay on grass. Well,
Okay.
I love to have that full body physical contact. So feet on grass isn't quite enough for me. I'll just literally lay on grass. For me,
The
that's probably
ultimate grounding,
yeah,
ultimate grounding process. So many people don't realize that we as a human being are a closed electrical circuit.
yes.
So hence grounding comes in for us to naturally discharge energy overload, literally.
Mhm.
And every cell in our body has a circuit. Now, the voltage, in inverted commas, is incredibly small, but then so are the cells. So, it's relative too, but every cell has an electrical circuit. That's what keeps it alive. And we've got how many trillion cells in our body? Dr. Bruce Lipton figured out, and that the number escapes me, that the voltage within a human being is some phenomenal figure. And I reckon that's why, in a moment, somebody can find this superhuman strength to pick up a car, to bash using their fist, bash through a door, bash through a window. They're accessing this power to achieve something in a moment. And, for somebody to pick up a car, they are discharging that power that is built up. So there's no physical detrimental impact in that moment because it's all there and it's being discharged. It's when we don't discharge it that it runs around our body, and all of that energy, I'm sorry, people can drop dead from fright.
Or heart attacks.
Well, yeah, but what stimulates that surge? Okay, it's like there's an overflow of current.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's the ability to hug. Look, journaling is a wonderful healing tool. You are discharging energy through writing your thoughts. Who would think? Simply walking out into a garden, walking into somebody's lovely home, and you're just going, wow, this is lovely. That's had a physical and positive healing impact on you. It's our whole world.
So I'm currently reading a book called From Strength to Strength. Now, the name of the author escaped me, but one of the exercises that he was talking about, and I haven't been doing the full exercise myself, but what I'm finding is it doesn't feel like when you first heard about it initially that it's a heart connecting exercise. But the more you do it, it kind of becomes a habit, right? It's like everything else. So what he does, and I'm about to do it because I'm turning 41 on Saturday, and he does it on every birthday as well. He'll write down his wish list for the year, like just general human wish list, and be as honest to yourself as possible. Write down as long of a list as possible. And then he'll go through each item on that list and ask himself, well, is this item, number one, really serve the purpose, the things that I want to achieve in life, the higher purpose, not just, having a house, having a car, but does this actually align with my highest purpose of what I really want to contribute to this world? And then also, would I care in a year, 3 year, or 5 years' time if I don't have this? Right? So you go through every single item and then crossed out the ones that does not meet the criteria.
Cool.
So it's kind of like working in reverse instead of having more to having less.
Yep.
It derives from the equation because he's a social scientist and love this equation. He said satisfaction equals to your list of needs or desires. Sorry, what you have on the top.
Yes.
Divided by what you want. So you can go one way, you can have more, right? And then that will give you more satisfaction. But if you have less or you have the same and you want less, it's the same thing.
And it's a simpler life.
It is.
It's a simpler life. Yeah.
But it's really connecting to your heart and go, what does my heart really want?
And for me, when I connect to my heart and ask, what does my heart really want? I know I am asking me from that deeper, and I'll use the word more spiritual level. What is it that the I that has been here many times before, goodness knows, I'd like to think I'm kind of coming to the end of all this reincarnation stuff that I keep doing. I've collected.
Really, Keryn? It's kind of fun, don't you think?
Well, look, I reckon I'm a pretty old soul, and I've collected a fair bit of the energetic, yucky juju, and this space I'm in, I'm really cleaning it up. I do believe that the souls work through not layers, but levels.
Yes.
And, I'm at that space where it's really time to just bring to an end all of the stuff that I've collected, because I know I am surrounded with people that I've lived many lives with. And I was going to say they push my buttons. That's being unfair. I am activated by the presence of their energy, which is why we set this up, in my opinion, in the first place. And it's for me to find peace. We're talking about healing from within. If I continue to be in the presence of somebody that I can feel just throws me off, I'm thinking, well, Keryn, it's not them. What can you do about it? And it's acceptance. One of my biggest things in this incarnation is acceptance of everybody that I have chosen to have in my life.
Yeah. Including yourself.
Absolutely. Number one.
Yeah.
Absolutely number one. Being a Libran sun, I'm all about relationships, particularly relationships of others and with others. But of course, Aries is my sign on the opposite side of the fence. And that's about relationship with self. And, I'm here to have relationships, and it's me, myself, and me.
It's interesting because astrologically, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. Aries sun, hello.
There you go. Yep. And I really do struggle. I once had an image of me riding a tandem bike, and have a guess what seat I was sitting on.
Back?
Yeah. And I looked at the vision and I thought, who's on the front? And
I was going to ask.
And it's everybody else that comes into my life. I leave the front seat for them. Well, I did. And then, having left the marriage, and I'm thinking, all right, Keryn, now what are you going to do? You're going to leave that front seat empty. And I knew I had to be on both seats. And, I'm learning. And
just don't get a tandem bike, Keryn. Just get a normal bike.
But see, isn't that interesting? My vision was a tandem bike. I'm a Libran sun. I'm about the other
balance.
person. I'm about the balance. I'm about keeping that harmony, keeping that diplomacy. Yeah. It's part of who I am. However, in achieving that, I need to be able to achieve that with me at the top of the list, not keep bumping me down because I'm putting everybody else above me. So yeah, healing from within, connection with self is where it stems from. And then, we come back to how do we stay connected? And we each have our own, wonderful, wonderful ways of doing it. Now, look, as we wrap up this one, I could talk to you for hours, young lady. As we wrap up this conversation, give me a little synopsis. Share with our listeners a little bit about your podcast that you do on the 444 Media platform. Give us its name and the why. Why do you do it?
I think before we do this, I really want to conclude this discussion about, healing from within by really, I think perhaps you and I both can offer, what would you say for someone who's never thought about healing from within, never thought about healing, never thought about connecting to the heart? What would you say would be the first 3 steps, Keryn? I know it's kind of reverse the roles a little bit. It's kind of like I'm interviewing you, but I'm curious to find out, right? Because we can talk about this topic because we've kind of experienced it for a while now. But for someone I often think about if I am to ever tell somebody who doesn't believe in what we're doing, what do you think would be the first top 3 things that someone could do to experience the shift?
I would ask them, what makes their heart sing? Anything that, and, I love I'm a musician, classically trained singer. So for me, the music world is a world that I'm very comfortable in. But I feel what makes your heart sing is a statement that everybody understands. Because when something is singing, it implies that there is a level of radiance about what is going on. So it might be sitting down at the beach, making sandcastles. It might be having a cup of tea out of a fine china cup, not a mug. You don't do tea out of a mug. You do it out of the fine china cup. Whatever it is, smelling a rose. And as they tell me, as they are sharing with me what that is, I would stake my life on the fact that I would see in them particularly in their face, a shift in energy,
Mm.
that their voice would simply lighten and again have that little dance-like quality to it. The eyes would be glistening. And when they finished sharing that, I'd say, how do you feel sharing that with me? And so they've experienced something that makes them feel good. And I'd say, welcome to healing. Anything that makes us feel good is a healing tool. It doesn't have to be difficult.
I love that. What I ask a similar question sometimes of my people as well. So I would ask them, because sometimes what I would get would be people who perhaps is in the deepest pain, I guess the lowest of the low in their lives. And if you ask them that question, sometimes they will like, I don't know. Right. And if I put my coaching head, I would be like, what if you do know? But sometimes that question just triggers people. And so I find if you connect them back to the childhood, and this is back to our discussion about the inner child, right?
Yeah.
The inner Keryn and inner Lala, and just cast their eyes back to when they were 3 or the 5, the earliest memories of what used to bring them joy. And I often find that's the answer to a lot of, because quite often people who are hurt came from a place where they didn't get the opportunity to do the things that bring them joy. And so that gets pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. And if we can if all of us can just connect to our inner child through asking ourselves, what used to bring me joy? What were some of the things that I really, really, really wanted to do as a little girl or a little boy? I think that would just kind of open up our heart a little bit and start to welcoming things that bring us joy.
We know when someone says to me, I'm probably not as maybe compassionate as you in just saying, hey, when someone says, I don't know, I will gently say, somewhere within you, you do. You might not be able to access it at the moment, but I want you to know that always, in any given moment within you, you do know. And if people can start to understand that within them lies the answer, they mightn't be able to access it at the moment, but they know it's there. And then, all right, next question. What's the right and perfect thing for me to do now to start building a path to that answer? It's that continual remembrance. And again, it's like you and I are on this joint path of having people remember that divine essence they come from. And, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit whether people remember or not. It doesn't change the fact that they have come from a divine spark. They just have. It's like saying, I don't believe in astrology. And I go, well, that's fine, but it doesn't change the fact that it happens. The sun
or the star that, evolves around something.
All of that. You don't need to believe it for its energy to still be impacting on you. We're made of the same stuff as those stars up there. I reckon that's pretty magical. Pretty magical. But yeah, it's coming back to that belief that within me, I have an answer. So in my deepest, darkest moments, if I can remember, all right, it is within me, but I don't need to access it right now. I can just allow myself to go, okay, it's there. I'm trusting.
And also it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's all about practicing.
Look, it is about practicing, but I reckon in every moment, the right and perfect thing will occur. But what do we define perfection to be?
Exactly.
I'm struggling with the perfection bit again, Brené here. It's imperfect. There's perfection in the imperfection.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's my acceptance of, Keryn, that's perfect.
Perfect.
That's perfect. And I'm starting to tell myself when I do something, honey, that's perfect. And there'll be part of me going, oh, yeah, really? And I go, hey, perspective, I reckon that right here, right now, that's perfect. And you know what? I'm going to say this conversation we've had has been perfect.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, look, thank you, gorgeous, gorgeous girl. I have loved this. And you know what? If you don't mind, I might book you for version 2, part 2.
Oh, that would be great.
Later on. But I've loved this exchange, this this, tete-a-tete that we've had. It's just been divine. So thank you very much. And thank you to all of you listeners out there. Feel free. I will get Lala to have her an email address, maybe a website, any contact details. I'll get Lala to send them through to me and I'll pop them in the show notes. And as I love to say, until we meet again.
Thanks, Keryn.
May your day be full of the magic that is you, wherever you may be. Everything in this world is energy, and that includes you. Remember, you are the most important person in your world, and you came into this life with all the tools you will ever need to support your healing from within. Let the healing begin.